for this match.
Yeah, I'm not surprised in the slightest, as we will get that up on the screen for you guys now. So that is our ban list complete. Thatcher, Mav, Valkyrie, as well as Mira. Those defensive bans, pretty interesting, but the offensive ones, I think, is really where, you know, things are going to have a pretty serious rub. Not having Maverick on this map actually means quite a bit. It means that we're going to have to see Mirage try and fight through a lot of these walls in a different way, especially downstairs. The basement site has now become a lot easier to actually defend. All except for still on the wine side, it's going to be easier still because you don't have Maverick that can obviously just torch a line wherever he wants to, but it's still pretty easy to actually clear out that space from the door just given the position of where that is, and we'll be able to see how Parabellum want to handle this downstairs space right now.
Basement's been the site of much discussion when it comes to Chalet here for many of the reasons that Stokes just mentioned here. Really a very accessible site to our attackers, but quite a few of our defenders have found new successful strategies to make it work for themselves as well, despite that open nature of it. We are going to see an interesting electric wall, or excuse me, we're going to see, the Surya Gate work its way out to the back of Wine there to be able to block access off and prevent an immediate rush from anyone on Mirage, where that really get itself reinforced in most situations.
Oh man, Parabellum, I am loving this. The amount of angles that Mirage is going to have to worry about throughout the entirety of this map is just insane.
That's super smart from Parabellum. Obviously, again, this could still be premeditated before this series, but that's super smart if they're doing that as a reaction to what happened in the first map there, because that's how they more often than not on their defense caught Mirage out and was able to win the round on timer at a minimum there, just by wasting so much time on these side fights off the site here. Mirage were constantly bleeding 20, 30, 40-second margins off just to get rid of one or two pesky players, and they're going to certainly be able to do that on most of the sites here on this map, so this should be a winning strategy for sure, as long as those players don't lose their lives too quickly.
I'm a pretty big fan of this situation overall for Parabellum. I think they can get away with quite a bit here, given the setup. We'll have to see, especially like Melted coming in here with the Frost as well, because Mirage already has so much to do. The last thing they're going to do is look at the ground, so somebody's more than likely going to end up getting caught off guard by that later on, especially if they didn't actually get a drone on Melted and know that the Frost mats are actually in play. But we're going to have some contention across the board here from Mirage, like you'd expect early on inside of a Chalet. Some nades out as well towards Eska, but it's not going to deal any damage upstairs. Eska currently playing inside of the bar space, but you can just see the amount of different angles now working for Parabellum, as Mirage really doesn't have access to a safe space anywhere. Dream will actually work his way into mud, so one of those frost mats has already been found, and so he'll be able to gather access to that. Eska obviously coming under a little bit more heat, but more than likely unaware of the situation. He's just going to hold on to this space and try and delay some more time.
Dream continuing to sort of inch his way forward in through the side hall here. Eska as well, just trying to clear out the army of drones that's working its way in towards the back of bar, where he's going to be positioning himself. Benji as well, already upstairs, taking control towards library for his team also, but a lot more work needing to be done forward from that, of course, as we're on a basement defense at this point for Parabellum, so still need to clear out. There's even an extended play working itself over towards Piano as well, so like you were saying at the beginning of this during the prep phase, Mirage just have such a massive checklist of items to work their way through, and they're almost already down to a minute, and they barely moved off the second floor.
For lack of a better word, the map is literally a mess right now. It is. Like, somebody get your brooms, please.
Like, literally, they've committed this first 2 minutes to mainly just, like, droning and taking initial positioning, as far as I could tell.
Yeah, well, there's just so many different ways to be able to hold a lot of these spaces. I mean, with, you know, some angles set up, you could even hold an angle all the way from Trophy into main fire hall if you really wanted to. There's a lot of different ways to work these floors, and that's what's making it so difficult for Mirage to actually get their way in now. They've actually defaulted for just a garage take, and it's going to be the Hibana to get this done. But look at the drone utility right now for Mirage. They're flying blind. They have to try and work their way in here into positions that are completely unknown to them. Parabellum totally have the upper hand in this situation.
And we got a clip of that earlier with Eska, too, chasing down like 2 different drones. They're trying to figure out what the bar setup looked like. So you can tell Mirage has been struggling with this clear. Spirit still has a solid second floor position with only 20 seconds left as well. What are you going to do, Mirage? You got to make the play. You don't have any time left here. A Smoke's blocking off the blue play, trying to work themselves into that hallway as well here. Dream just has to wait it out. Doesn't really have a choice. Nick's going to try to put it down. The entry actually has found some success here as Loading also pushing down the main stairs. Nix is going to be able to make his plan a success. Here comes the Wrap coming in through main stairs, though, but they're the only 2 players left from Parabellum, as Thomas has gotten himself a personal second. Somehow, this has come down to an even fight after everything is said and done.
It seems like these two cannot get away from the 2v2 post plans as we launch ourselves into one yet again here. 25 seconds remain as Nix will take down Eska. It's up to Spirits to try and win out this initial defense. chance. They have a good read, but Thomas is better.
Wow.
A single bullet will be able to take him down right to the dome. And Mirage, after a round that looked like they didn't achieve anything on the top floors, they defaulted out, they take control of Garage, and actually frag out the site players to get the case down.
Parabellum losing taps, it seems, on just how much presence was being built up towards that default snowmobile push. And ultimately, that presence alone, mainly from Thomas also, is enough to get Mirage into the site and set Nyx up for a plant behind the stairs and the garbage cans to sit in front of that. Beautiful work from that two-player team, be able to work themselves in and actually take control of what seemed like a nearly unwinnable situation coming into those final 20 seconds.
Yeah, anytime that you're 5-on-5 at around 30 seconds, anything is possible. There can be craziness from both sides, and even given the circumstances of the positioning of Parabellum, where you're like, okay, they obviously are going to know that it's coming through Garage, Thermite's going down, or rather the Habana's going down. There's so many indicators of what's going on, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they can stop it. You're even in bodies, you start to trade out, it goes the offensive way, and all of a sudden, you have no more positioning to actually try and fight back against Nyx in that planting moment. And actually, as soon as we get down to the post plant, the last two remaining Parabellum members, they're on main stairs, coming down the staircase. There's no one on site to actually be able to assist, nor in Blue Hall. So very unfortunate for Parabellum, especially with how well they played the roam, but it is what it is, man. That's Siege.
All right, so Mirage will take control on the attack here off of the first round. And moving into the second, we are going to see an immediate shift in the strategy for Parabellum as they work themselves onto a first floor hold. We are going to see a similar extended setup, but obviously much more of a central focus on it this time, as they're going to put emphasis obviously on the extension over here towards the, and then continuing to hold things further back towards the site itself, or the rooms directly above it here towards the master bedroom, as well as the office next door to that here. So Parabellum just keeping that usual top-down presence, but they'll eventually fall back upon into the actual site once the pressure from Mirage becomes a bit too much to handle.
Mirage now getting themselves inside of the map. Benji will be starting this off inside of Library, as we're all used to, especially on this map, given any site, whether it be upstairs or downstairs like it currently is in Kitchen. Are obviously still going to hold on to this top floor. We'll have Spirits playing inside of the Master Closet, as well as the Frost of Melted inside of Bathroom. Mirage want to work this way, will work their way across this, and try and get this dining wall open. But you can see a lot of different pieces to the puzzle here for Parabellum. Love this pickup from Eska, as he'll be rocking that cardiac sensor on Pulse. Lots of info coming back to him on this top floor position. Even if he doesn't get a Nitro Cell kill, this is going to assist out all of the players upstairs with all of the information that he's gathering.
Continue to see Eska gather that intel here as we get later and later in the round. Unfortunately, we're going to see Twitch drone spot him out, but it's not too much of an issue for Eska to just go and hunt that right down once he spots it. So back to the heartbeat sensor fairly quickly after that, as Thomas also puts another drone right behind him to keep tabs, and also Loading going to continue to harass him with the second Twitch. Oh, never mind, that was downstairs. So going to in a second probably start to harass him, but never mind. It gets sniped out from up on top. Melton's going to catch that one there over by the front stairs, and with that one, that will say bye-bye to the last Twitch drone. No additional utility to come out from her.
That's extremely unfortunate. Down to the frag grenades to try and clean up this wall and make it accessible to the hard breach. So we're dwindling down on the time yet again. Still a 5 versus 5, but a lot of utility exchanged back and forth. Some drones taken out for Mirage, but they still have so much info on the board that they're more than likely going to be able to find a few of these PB members. Eska, though, he's fighting back with that cardiac sensor. Still Mirage, though, actually able to start trying to get some access to this top floor, just opening up some other windows. But the big thing right now is this timer. It's continuing to dwindle down, and they really don't have the space around the site just yet. Able to almost get a frag up top, but it's a trade back and forth instead. So one Parabellum member upstairs, but I believe it's going to be the rotation. No, Spirit's actually still up on that top space as Mirage try and work their way into West Lobby. Eska will be able to answer that. Dream will be able to take down one inside of Kitchen, but the case is still outside. Need to be able to actually get inside of this space and get something going on, but Dream will be taken out with a Nitro Cell. Nyx just not there in time to assist nor try and get this plant down. Now it's him inside of a 1 versus 3, and unbeknownst to him, there's a long angle all the way over to Solarium Stairs that will be his demise.
Much less chaotic setup this time for Parabellum, so way easier to control those pushes, call them out, and properly rotate players into support positions, where previously on that first hold, we had players from Parabellum just out completely on their own, no support systems to work off of there, and that's a large part of how Mirage were able to kind of sneak in on that basement play. This time, not going to be able to pull that off. The support is there, and Parabellum shuts out every single aggressive play that Mirage tries to make.
Yeah, very impressive stuff there from Parabellum, sticking to their guns and making sure that Mirage aren't actually just going to be able to flood this side, especially on that dining side. Defended the wall masterfully and made sure to get those Twitch drones out of the way. Checked all the boxes across the board. There really wasn't anything that Mirage was going to get away with there in that situation.
It's bold from PB to go right back to the basement as well. I'm curious to see if we're going to see a much more centered strategy or if they're going to go right back to that chaotic split. It certainly did its job of wasting the time, but like I said before, didn't have enough control towards the late round there. Mirage was able to ultimately make a default push work. It was close, don't get me wrong, but still made it work despite the very, very interesting strategy from Parabellum. And I'm curious to see if they're going to go back to something more default.
To see. I think that they'll still commit to the roam just because it did waste so much time.
Yeah.
They just need to rotate back in a different fashion. I think that the main stairs load just was too much, especially given the circumstances. If they're able to position it just in a better way for that situation, then they more than likely are able to get Nyx on the outbound and then knock it down into a situation that's a little bit more palatable for them. But obviously that's nitpicking. We'll have to see what's going on inside of the round and see what Parabellum actually want to do here for round 3.
Mirage, in the meanwhile, here simply waiting this one out to see how exactly they'll need to approach things and still bringing that very similar lineup to the table to accomplish that. Lots of utility focus here. Still going to be bringing the Twitch for loading to add those additional drones into play. The Ana as well to provide the clones, which will give them that free peeking capability to find out the more aggressively positioned players, which, as Snokes had mentioned, are still going to continue to be a problem here. That extended roam still going to be in play for Parabellum because it works so well to waste time. They have to hope this time they're going to be able to properly peel it back when the time comes and when Mirage are ready to execute upon the site. As we see, though, pretty much everybody on the Mirage side of things just fully focused on drones at this point, loading, and probably one or two other players keeping a solid watch, but I can see at least two of them right now fully focused in their drone POV. Benji a bit different, though. He's looking for some pixel shots against at least one member of Parabellum positioned a bit further back in the site. Not going to be able to find it so easily, but Nyx will be able to walk right up here and start clearing out the side hull. Kool-Aid, though, gets some great damage off on Nyx and nearly takes him down. That's going to force him to run outside and play this safely for a moment.
I don't know if he got that second breach to go off on the wall. I think the initial Habana charges might have destroyed his Electro Claw. That'd be super unfortunate for him, as that's going to open up some very key angles for Mirage to try and operate around later on. But Kool-Aid does have an answer for this in the Nitro Cell, and yes, he did. I don't know what happened to the Electro Claw there, but either way, that's going to be a wall open for Mirage. And now Kool-Aid in some hot water, but he's got a very solid position, especially with this shield. So Mirage have to try and find an answer to that first.
Loading continuing to kind of creep up here with all the drones in the world, with 2 to 3 others here watching out for the position of Kool-Aid also. So a big focus going to be going on to him to try and shut this one down. Loading more so wants to sneak this drone in. Seems like almost as a distraction maybe for a player to push, but it doesn't really work out. Kool-Aid goes right back and snaps onto that angle here and nearly punishes Dream in the process. Regardless, though, Dream's going to sneak through, and in a moment here, probably get ready to challenge through the angle.
See, I love that Mirage is going for just, trying to go for the back take instead so they don't have to worry too much about the roam game. But the issue is that Parabellum's entire setup is for this, and this is why we're seeing so many problems, but they're able to fire back finally, be able to clear out the gate as well. But oh no, Parabellum fight back in convincing fashion. Too many bodies starting to dwindle for Mirage as Thomas is able to make this a 2 versus 2. We told you, we can't get away from these as they equalize yet again here with 50 seconds. They know the positioning though, and still have case control in their hands, but have to worry about the cross here from the Frost. Should see the pre-fire, but Benji gets tagged up down to 1 HP. He has to win this engagement. Scope out. Melted trying to find him a single pixel in between Benji and Death, and Melted will be able to find it. It's a 2 versus 1 with 30 seconds remaining for Thomas.
It's Thomas, though, as we said before. He's bringing a lot of clutch potential to the table, too, and he's actually just going to eat the damage on the laser gate as he walks his way through. That's a big piece of the setup and how Parabellum's been so successful that you pointed out back in round number 1. Either way, though, Thomas will be able to negotiate control of the case, bait himself on a plant here to try to get a few players into the open, but it's not going to be a success. He'll have to take these duels outright. Finds the first one. Eska has lost the position of Thomas as well in a trade here. Thomas is going to be allowed to go away. Oh my goodness, Thomas runs through a second Surya gate and right into the crosshair of Eska as Parabellum will be gifted the final 1v1, and they'll take control of this basement hold this time.
I promise you, I thought Thomas was going to 180 that, man. Eska was just lost in the sauce, man. He had no idea where his positioning was after that fake plant. Moves up, gets the kill on the Frost, and then dashes across the room for the rotation instead of hitting that 180. Eska, again, he's just over trying to man the door, trying to man the other side of the barrel's wall, and almost ends up selling the bag there for a split second. But hey, still able to get that second round downstairs, so Parabellum have to be happy with that one at the end of the day.
Those laser gates, specifically the ones that are blocking off the back access towards the garage, they're making up a huge difference, I think, because we saw the team on the side hall there, the wall that had been breached open earlier by the Hibana. We already had a team of like 2 players pushing into that, but the other players that were also trying to move in past those gates got held up for an extra 5 or 6 seconds. And remember, they don't have angles onto any of the players inside of Snowmobile Garage either. There's that big pillar in the middle of the room blocking it off, so they still have to rotate their way around that one to get in a position to trade things out. And by that point, they were already had a huge disadvantage because the players pushing the side angle had already been killed.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fantastic from Parabellum thus far. You know, obviously Mirage able to muster that singular round, which was pretty crazy, but now Parabellum back into the fold, and we'll see if they can continue their reign of terror here on this defensive side. We're going to bar stock here, or rather bar games here on Chalet. See if Parabellum can get away with this. Obviously, this means that they're going to have to play upstairs around Library, and this is where things can get pretty hairy, especially depending on the positions that they want to play. One that we've seen happen pretty often is obviously over in that corner of Library where we see a lot of nades focused early on. So we'll have to see if Parabellum want to try and play deep inside of this space or exactly how they want to prevent Mirage from getting upstairs.
We'll be finding out very soon how Mirage will try to throw this aggression out. As you said, lots of early pressure going to work its way into the Library position. That'll test out some of our players like Spirits and I believe Melted as well, holding out in the hallway. Thomas will be looking for Melted specifically as he slams open that balcony window on the other side of the map here. And some of the other players, once again, going to put some big emphasis on the droning, which should be no surprise here, as they try to figure out what exactly these tricky setups from Parabellum are going to look like.
You know, now that we've gotten to cast Parabellum here for a little bit, I truly do love the way that they set up their defensive plays, because you can really see how there's always a position for somebody to come and help someone inside of a fight if they really need it. Specifically what we have going on upstairs with this deployable shield setup. Spirits can help Melted, Melted can help Spirits. There's so many different ways that this can go. It's honestly fantastic for them, so we'll have to see how this is going to go. They do have a Mirage member out on K9 Balk, so we'll have to worry about that for the time being, more than likely though unbeknownst to them. So as for the rest of this though, Mirage still trying to focus on this top floor take, stuns in, but now ADS is needing up these very influential frag grenades.
Spirit's just going to pop those off real quick and save Melted's position here. He'll be able to continue throwing in the aggression, and that'll be a big sigh in the Mirage TS right now, as they unfortunately are going to lose that whole breadth of charges. A little bit of damage going off on a Nick.
No!
Oh, the bait with the X-Kairos. Dream walks right up and gets both of the defenders inside of Library. Beautiful stuff, but it's going to be traded out now as Kool-Aid comes back into the fray, but Dream with a 3rd kill in the round. Kool-Aid gets his 2nd. This is turning into the Dream versus Kool-Aid show real quickly, and Benji's going to add one to the mix too. Kool-Aid now the last one alive, however, and he's not going to be able to survive as Loading takes him out, and this one instead goes over to Mirage.
Oh, the Dream factor right now is just so paramount to the success of Mirage. Fantastic round from them, but you guys know we have to give it for Dream on that one. The way he creeps up into Library, and the best part is, unbeknownst to Parabellum, they have no idea what's going on. He walks in there like Solid Snake, kills one, flicks, uses the rest of the magazine down to the last bullet, and headshots the other man, gets that mag slammed, and then kills the guy in bar. You'll love to see it, folks. Fantastic stuff from him. But Parabellum, they need an answer. They're going to head to Kitchen Dining. This was a pretty great site the last time they played it. I really, really loved how they were able to assist each other with that multi-tiered setup upstairs, especially for the angles working their way down into West Main. That was the thorn in the side of not only Tommy, but a few other Mirage members as well.
I think the key to success for Mirage here is going to be making some type of conjoined push here. Parabellum.
Have Dream play every position. Just give him 5
put
computers.
Dream in front and put 3 people behind him, and then just have someone else lurk in late at the last second. That'll probably work out pretty well for these guys, specifically on this site. And the reason for that, not a complete joke by the way, is because Parabellum here was really good at spotting out those lone adventurous lurkers that we were seeing from Mirage and pushing them with 2 to 3 or more players that prevent Mirage from having really any access anywhere close to the site inside of this map. And I would imagine the setup is going to be very similar once again. Like you said, a multi-tiered setup. They could deny drone presence coming in from the basement here with this positioning from up on top, as they're going to have a soft breach to go down towards that specific staircase. Things like that can punish players coming up from the basement as well. It's very, very tough to work itself past. Like I'm saying, Mirage might be better to try and push things together. And once again, try to overwhelm the more individually centered players from Parabellum. We'll see how exactly this will all play out, as obviously Mirage is out on the board as they're 2 minutes and 45 seconds now to get into the site.
Spirit slapping him on down here on Solarium Stairs. Early on inside of the Chalet remake, quite the point of contention, especially with the Solarium repels we were seeing for such a long time, usually answered with those Aruni gates, Saria gates to make sure they have to use extra utility to try and get in, and then all 3 ADSs and some my discs for good measure, just to try and soak up as much of that utility from the offense as possible. But as the map has, gotten older, aged like a fine wine, I would say, I really enjoy watching it, we've seen more of a favored side for the library, simply because it's a better staging ground, it's not as difficult to actually try and work your way in, just not as many eyes staring at you while you swing into windows. So a little bit easier, and they're going to actually end up working their way in, at least for the offensive sake, like that here inside of round 5.
So we've got Mirage already starting to take some control for themselves, most notably kind of Thomas just keeping an eye on things right now with his own drone. He's going to swing up to try and see what the previous front lobby is looking like at this point. Obviously that front door no longer accessible, but you still have the 2 windows to try and work your way in, and Thomas may very well be using one of them in a moment here. Hopefully notice the frost trap sitting on the right one, though, if that isn't going to be the case, as that can become quite a problem if not. Either way, though, this isn't the only area where we're going to see pressure work itself into the map from Mirage. Nade about to work its way over there from Dream to take out the electric claws. It's going to hit pretty on the mark, too, so nicely done there by Mirage. And with that, they'll have access to the hard breach to be able to take out the supporting wall onto the inside of Dining Room, and with this, they've got a pretty solid path towards a plant.
Mirage have got to go as soon as they find the information on this. Parabellum are split upstairs as well as down, but the beauty is that Mirage already have the office open, so a lot of these vertical angles are unabusable by Parabellum. They have to try and retake upstairs as well as onto the site. So it's going to be interesting to see how Parabellum try and get through the thick of it right now. They're trying to play for the denial, but with so much time left on the board, Penguin is going to run out of smoke, and they only have 1 Nitro to try and answer this. So let's see how these last dying moments work out for both of these squads.
Eska still looking to hold here at a large majority of Parabellum player base that can fit on the first floor, starting to rotate down there. Kool-Aid seeing some of those tracers, being a bit more cautious about his own potential peaks, while at the same time watching out for that open window towards Trophy. It's going to be loading. That finally gets the opening kill of the round, and Benji quickly follows up with a second one. It's all going the way of Mirage, as Parabellum just cannot put the pressure out against this Dining Room play here. 4 in a row for them. Thomas has finally been down, but Kool-Aid now has to take down the rest of this team on his lonesome. The Nitro's out, but it's about 3 seconds too late, unfortunately, as he's not going to be able to stop the plant. And even worse, he's now put himself into a nearly...
No! Kool-Aid! Have class! Have a soul, man! Not like this. Poor Thomas.
He's like, I got my one.
Hey, I got my frags, you know? Dream's going to be able to put...
I got my trade.
Exactly. Dream will be able to nip it in the bud, and then Mirage will get away with another offensive round here. Parabellum now looking to tie it up instead, as Mirage takes a lead for the very first time here on Chalet.
Ultimately, a very straightforward round there for Mirage as well. They find a clean path into the site, spent a good minute or 2 droning it out, opening up a second angle for Thomas to play from as well, even though it wasn't really necessary, and make a pretty clean push in when supported by their smoke. So great stuff there. Parabellum, unfortunately, not set up to properly fend that off once the wall to Dining Room had been open, and as a result of that, they failed to catch the play when it works its way in, primarily because 4 out of 5 of their players were dead before the plan even started.
Yeah, that's a completely different round in comparison to what we saw the first time, mostly because they actually got the walls open, and that's the biggest part of that take. You have to be able to prevent the vertical control over the dining space, as well as get that wall open and start trying to play for that actual plant. The beauty of the situation there for Mirage was the fake with the smoke, because what that did is activated Parabellum. They knew that they had to fight for that top floor control, and that's really why they all died before the plant even went down, is because it's make or break. I either do it now or the round's already theirs anyway, so I might as well try and fight Mirage and see what happens. So I love that Parabellum still had the spunk to be able to try and fight them, but it just isn't going to work out in any convincing fashion given the circumstances. So Mirage able to once again take the lead here as we lean into round 6. We'll see if they'll be able to get that 4th round and split it 4-2 for the half.
We'll see if that indeed is going to be the case here. Definitely a worrisome time, at least in a little bit here for Parabellum, as they have lost that edge they had seemed to have previously on the last map's defensive hold here. As we are going to see Melted set up. Once again, those frost traps try and slow down things for Mirage. Didn't really get caught up by them last time. There is always the chance for it to slip its way through, especially inside of this room here in Library. I've often seen teams kind of overlook it or forget about it because you have to spend so much time trying to open things up that one might accidentally step on it every once in a while here. But that's not going to be the only focus here, as you guys just saw for Mirage. They quickly open up the default into Snowmobile as well, and now have that point of access also.
This is great because of exactly what you just said. With such an early breach onto the site, it's something that the defense has to be aware of at all times, because the moment somebody doesn't have eyes on or is at least within earshot of the situation, things can go terribly wrong. Mirage can just sneak in through a garage, at least with one person, to start to pick up some crucial frags on site, and you do not want that to happen for the defense in the moment. Mirage have been able to take control of the mid floor, but obviously they're worried about some Parabellum members inside of this space, and they damn well should be. We have Eska, at least up right now. Dream with the ARX, he'll be able to just slap him in the face. Eska doesn't even get a bullet off before he eats the floor. Melted's going to take some damage as well as Kool-Aid, but nothing done back to the Mirage members just yet.
A smooth opener coming in there from Dream as he continues to excel here. Not the only one doing so this time either. We talked about how we might need to see that come out from him inside of this matchup, and indeed we have. Thomas actually leading the charge right in front of Dream at this point at 7-4, with Dream also directly behind him at 6-3. Benji also having a great game so far at 5-3 for himself as well. A lot more even keel over on the side of Parabellum, but again, no huge frag leaders as of yet, and that is part of the reason why we are seeing them struggle just a tad here inside of the opening half of the map. Final round though, so this is their chance to make impact and at least tie it up, and Spirits is certainly going to sink a very nice equalizing kill here after they lost the first one a few moments prior.
Oh no, Mirage actually working their way back towards the garage. Kool-Aid inside of Connector should be able to hear Nyx. He's definitely within earshot of this plan, and the kill's starting to come through. Benji all of a sudden downed as well. It's a 4 versus 2. Tommy trying to hold things down on the garage door, but it's just not working out for Mirage. They went for the early breach and tried to double back on it to try and catch Parabellum off guard, but they were prepared for it. So many bodies up, and there's really no way that Thomas wins this out. Kool-Aid will be able to shut it down and guarantee us a 3-3 half.
Much more active awareness of the potential push to come in from Snowmobile that time, so as you saw, plenty more players from Parabellum actually in position to fend that off, and more importantly, utility also in position that time as well. The smoke charge is able to work its way down. That stops the plan a few moments later. Planner is confirmed killed, and the chaos unfolds from that point forward as Parabellum continues to take more and more control to equalize things at 3-3 heading into the second half.
Do you want happy-go-lucky or do you want doom and gloom?
Let's get happy-go-lucky.
Okay, happy-go-lucky. Mirage still has a great opportunity to win here on Chalet. I honestly think that if they're able to put some defenses together... No, I'm serious. Especially if Dream is able to do what he did on Bank and we see the others come around him and actually assist on this defensive half, I think we at least get overtime. Now for the doom and gloom. I think that Parabellum is more than likely going to just start wiping the floor with Mirage on this offensive side, just because of the way that they usually end up playing their offense. It's very aggressive, very in your face, and I don't know if Mirage in the moment is going to have what it takes to actually shut them down on a map like Chalet.
At the same time, teams can get funneled a little bit into kill boxes on this map if they are properly set up for it, so Mirage could also make that work into their favor. We'll see, though, what types of setup will try to make that work, as they're going to be holding things out, I believe, into a kitchen defense here for the very first round. Looking at the setup as well, as they're going to have that usual extended emphasis onto the direct rooms above it here, onto the inside of Master and, of course, Office. Next as well with a sneaky little yokai hiding inside of the debris of that vase there. We'll see if he's going to be able to catch anything with that.
Yeah, we get all the fun operators inside of one defense here for Mirage. Just a hodgepodge of them. We got Echo, we've got Oryx, and we've got Alibi, who we haven't seen at all today. An operator that kind of started to bubble to the surface in recent history for Siege, but after the MX4 Storm nerf, we haven't seen her as much. We're still starting to see her quite a bit, obviously, just given the 1.5 and how good the MX4 Storm is, but, you know, it's been kind of an adjustment period for quite a few people. Personally, absolutely love this operator and what she brings to the table. You have that secondary deployable shield. You can also have impact. She just has so much use on that defensive end. I just think the MX4 Storm is the icing on the cake.
Yeah, no, absolutely the case. And the utility, obviously, while not the most impactful part of her kit, in my opinion, her actual active ability, it can still be quite an annoyance there if it's blocking off the windows or things like that. Some players...
Oh,
what
no,
was that?
Thomas!
Thomas just straight up denied as he makes the run out with the Oryx smash as well and goes down very quickly. It's just going to get worse for Mirage as well. Spirits with one sunk nice and true to be able to take down Benji. And Penguin quickly hopping out here to make sure there's no more shenanigans from Mirage. Certainly won't be the case at a 3v5. They cannot afford to take a risk like that anymore.
Mirage have to play conservative now, but it doesn't seem like Dream wants to heed my warning as the cutoff is already established inside of Trophy. Not even aware that the window's broken, tries to walk up Solarium stairs and loses his life. Loading, he had the angle as well, saw the pixel of Kool-Aid's head, but he's just that much faster. It's down to Nyx inside of a 1 versus 5, and John, this is what I was scared about.
Look there, look at that crossfire as well in the final seconds there. You can see it from the tracers. That drone sees him for a split second, but immediately there's a yellow ping out and an immediate response to said yellow ping also. Great follow-ups here from Parabellum, not taking their foot off the gas pedal for a second inside of that round, and they didn't even put their foot on it to begin with. It was, once again, Thomas, I believe, that started all this craziness with his run out from the garage.
Yeah, he dashes out the garage door, but the biggest issue was the reaction time from Parabellum. He still has to to go through that animation of getting his gun back out. If he didn't have that animation and he has that gun instantly, almost a 1-2-2K, depending on how, he hits that flick. But a guaranteed 1K for sure. But not that situation, just not the case given Oryx's, cooldown for that gun. So unfortunate there for Mirage. I really like that they at least tried something, but when it's a flawless round, it's a flawless round,
Pretty
man.
much.
That was fantastic from Parabellum. I just love what they had across the entire map there, especially around the trophy side. To already have that entire side of the map shut down in such a convincing way that Mirage can't even try and act on those top floor players.
What a way to make a statement of control, too. We see Mirage players, even after they lose those first 2 kills, still try to negotiate for positioning elsewhere on the map. But even there, we see one of them get cut off by the side windows inside of Trophy also. So there has to be a massive amount of respect coming out from Mirage on this upcoming round, seeing just how much control Parabellum had of the outside windows and the crossfires that would come from those.
Yeah, personally, if I'm Mirage right now, I'm quaking in my boots.
I'm not leaving the site. I'm playing full anchor, so I don't trust myself to leave it at this point.
Yeah, my legs are shaking. I'm holding on to, the table. It's like, please get me through this. I'm just going to be having, flashbacks every time Parabellum breaches something inside of the building. But we'll have to see what they can do now as they're out and onto the field here for round 8. And pretty interesting setup here for Mirage, as they'll be holding quite a bit of the mid floor, as obviously we will be having the bar game site back once again. Now, the big thing about this site, like we talked about last time, is the top floor hold. But you can see Benji's the only one manning this space as of right now, because the rest of Mirage is just sprinkled across the entire map, trying to get ahead of Parabellum's game plan.
Penguin continuing to hold himself back here, and once again, a few other players from Parabellum just kind of waiting for the correct opportunity to strike here as well. Like I said, Mirage gonna have to kind of give a bit of respect to Parabellum, seeing what happened in the previous round. Benji still, though, holding the tight angle, being as aggressive as he really safely can be here from his extended position just outside of the library. A second drone is going to spot and confirm his position. He's not able to immediately trade that drone. I don't know if he actually got it or not, but either way, Penguin's going to hop off of it here, and they're going to start to chuck in flashes, waste out some of these magnets, as well as anything else that might be inside to block off nades, and that initial kill is immediately going to flush Benji out of not only his position, but his position in life in this round, unfortunately, as he goes down first, and Parabellum get the clean 5v4 opener. Nyx is going to move up here and take his position to try and trade this out, though. We'll see, as obviously that position is no longer secure with the opening being made, and that's a little awkward.
Run for
He's going to work himself down real quick. Thankfully, that main door hasn't been peeked yet, so he is actually allowed to go back in and take up position behind this Goyo shield.
That was a little terrifying there, especially when he jumped down into Spirits. I was like, oh, dude, you are so dead. There is no way, but the timing works out for him instead, and Parabellum allow him to live. How gracious of the offense there, but it doesn't seem like that's going to last too much longer as we start to get the adrenal surges on deck, as well as the sledge breaking up the floor here into the actual bomb site. Nyx back in his pivotal position here on the shield, but could eat this frag grenade, but he steps up too close. He's only going to take a little bit of damage. He'll pre-fire into the actual fireplace hall, but that'll only give information over to the offense, who still have a minute remaining as they start to deal some serious damage to Dream.
Dream trying to hold an aggressive angle there, takes a big punch of damage there. He's going to go down to about a third of his overall remaining here. Barely a sliver done to anyone on Parabellum, by the way, but they also, importantly, still have to make the transition from the second floor down to the first floor here, and time is starting to work against them a little bit, but the confirmation comes out onto Dream. They won't know it so much as of yet, but he has been down. Thomas is looking like he might try to rotate back up, and there's a slight opportunity for them to maybe get him, but realistically, this is going to get chaotic very, very quickly here, so they need to focus on stopping the actual execute, as Nyx has just done with the kill against Penguin here. Spirit's looking to trade, but instead it's going to be Eska that finds the next engagement here for Parabellum. Another player still trying to push their way out. It was Thomas trying to get aggressive here from the main stair. Spirits finishes off Nyx. Thomas at low HP will be able to get one, but an aid finishes off Thomas's only remaining teammate, leaving him alone in a 1v3. And now, unfortunately, with the case down on the ground, he does not have any chance in this fight to get out of his safe position. So Eska will shut it down, and Parabellum will claim yet another round here on the attack.
This is just so unfortunate for Mirage. That top floor setup especially, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. That thing is not set up to take the amount of heat that it actually took from Parabellum. That setup is not for Parabellum's clear at all. They need more utility or just more manpower inside of that space.
Yep.
There's no way that you're going to fend off not only 3 stuns, but 2 grenades, and also Zofia creeping up on your door all at the same time. It's just too much pressure for one man to take, especially when you're blind. So
So we're going to work our way into the pause coming out there, quite obviously from the Mirage camp, and couldn't really be a better time for this too. Those first 2 rounds was a complete miss as far as their strategy was concerned. Both the opening kills and most of the follow-ups as well had been going over to Parabellum, and obviously the overall rounds end up going into their favor as well. So in nearly every aspect of both of these rounds, Mirage is failing. They need to look for a complete reset, a complete new strategy, a new take on life as they work their way back into this, and we're going to be doing that right now as we head into a 5-3 scoreline. Parabellum only 2 rounds away now from knocking Mirage out and pushing themselves onward into the lower bracket finals tomorrow morning.
A lot on the line here for Mirage. This could be the last map for them inside of the closed qualifier. Parabellum holding on to life here after losing to TSM earlier today, but same cannot be said about Mirage, and they're lost up against one shot. So now Parabellum trying to put Mirage 6 feet under, and also looking for their 6th round here inside of round 9. They're obviously still locked in on this offensive side, but an interesting pick coming out that we didn't get to see too much of the last time because of Dream at his M590. The Osa is back on the board for Parabellum.
Yep, absolutely the case here. Osa last time, unfortunately, didn't really get to see any of it at all. As Stokes mentioned, immediately was shut down when trying to push Dirt Tunnel because someone with a shotgun on the defense also wanted to push Dirt Tunnel. So I'll let you know how, I'll let you at home decide how that math equation works out. But either way, Mirage, they're going to have to fend off against it one more time as Peng will be bringing it back on our second map.
It's like a cardinal sin of Rainbow Six is pushing that thing. When you push that thing, you know you're just doing something dumb. I'm so serious. Anytime someone runs out of dirt, you're like, okay. Like, I mean, if you get a kill, that's great. It's awesome. But it's just so funny when it happens, especially inside of a competitive match. You would never in a million years expect Dream to do what he did, but that's why he did it, because they wouldn't be expecting it either.
It's the mud wrestling of Rainbow Six Siege right there.
He just put a hose in the tunnel before he went in there, made it all slippery. Oh, man.
All right, so here we go. In the
dude, I just leaked the new operator. It's Hose Man.
That'd be an interesting one, actually.
he just wets all the floor.
He's got one of those. He's got one of those trucks. It's like Lion. He just has a. He's a big drone with a huge water cannon.
Oh man, yeah. You slip, you go into DBNO, and there's like a sign that, oh no, not early, not like this.
Look,
loading.
and they're just gonna flash dump and nade dump the stairs as well to really get the confirmation off onto loading. Things have gone in the direction of Parabellum once again. The shield setups. Penguin trying to work it there. As I think he's trying to position that second one appropriately. Might just be trying to peek the angle too. He could do that with those shields, but either way, once again, just like the last 2 rounds, this is going quite single-handedly so far, as far as the first minute and 10 seconds is concerned anyway, into Parabellum's hands. They've taken out loading, they've taken initial positioning, they've nearly taken out Nyx, and they've barely taken any damage themselves.
And we're only a minute and 15 seconds into the round.
I didn't even need to say that, but go ahead.
It's like they have so much time on the board, and that's the biggest issue. Nyx has got to fight fire with fire, and he's actually doing it in pretty convincing fashion.
Nice.
He's killed Penguin. Penguin's choked on the smoke. It's a 4 versus 4, but as we expect, Parabellum, they'll light the fuse. As Spirits hops in, he'll be able to take out Dream, but Kool-Aid still manning the angles here over inside of Solarium. Things are going to cool down here for a moment. Another smoke out to try and manage this situation as Thomas will be trying to hold things down on the Solarium door.
Nyx now out of smokes as well here, still with over a minute to go. So if Mirage is going to try and hold this off, it needs to be through pure fragging power alone. No longer can they do it with utility, and no longer can they even do it with Nyx, as he's finally been hunted out with that drone spotting his position a good 30-40 seconds ago. Kool-Aid is going to be the one to pick up the kill, and now try to put the case down on the ground very early on here as well. It's just Thomas and Benji trying to fend it off, but as we switch between their POVs, you can see they don't have a hope in the world for this angle. Thomas actually nearly gifted one as a player steps out, but it matters not, as Spirits on the rappel cleans them both up, but it's yet another round going into the hands of Parabellum, as they're just one more away now from shutting out the series.
They are legitimately too fast for Mirage to respond. That's the biggest issue right now. There's no way that they try and fight into Solarium from those doors, and the other issue is that the guns that they have set at the back of the site in comparison to where Solarium is, none of them have magnified sights. They all have 1Xs, and they're trying to fight all the way through Solarium breaches to try and take out these people. The only people that could have assisted there, I believe, are Wamai and Castle. So, and both of them obviously dead. So there's nothing you can really do about that situation. You're already at a disadvantage at that range. And on top of that, Parabellum not only have the case down, but control of that entire half of the site and a cutoff on the master window. I don't think that there's a way you get out of that.
Penguins even bringing the Ash into play here now as well, now that they have so much control.
He's 2-7
Why
and
not
6.
at this point?
2-7 and 6. He's like, I'm locking in the
He's
Ash,
like, listen,
boys.
it's going to make the difference. I'm telling you. It's going to make the difference.
Oh,
we don't need those stuns. I'm telling you.
Oh, my
These things are worthless.
And also, on a side note, I think that I might actually win our bet, John. It's currently 12:04.
Didn't someone say 12:30?
I believe somebody did say 12:30. Yeah, so we'll have to see.
Also, we're using Price is Right rules, so
yes.
I think you're over yours.
Am I over mine?
What did you say, midnight or 1 a.m. that we would finish?
No. I said 12:15.
Oh, did you?
So
okay.
I think that when we get off these mics, especially if Mirage would so graciously give me another round, I might win our bet. Well, we'll see.
We didn't really set a prize up for that.
I mean, it's a small price to your soul.
Bragging
Come on.
rights. Either way, here things are looking great for Parabellum, and they're looking dire for Mirage here as they enter what could very well be their last round of this tournament and their last chance to qualify for SI 2022, having instead now to focus up on the upcoming season of the NAL. We'll see, however, here with Parabellum wants their own second chances. For those who remember, they were able to win this very same qualifier in the previous year, be able to make it to SI themselves. They're looking to do that very same thing yet again here in 2022 as they themselves much closer and closer to the NAL also.
Mirage has had a pretty rough go of it here on the defensive end. They're trying to right this right now. No more mistakes can possibly be made. We need some big plays from these players off-site, specifically Nyx right now. But, oh no, he gets shut down so early. Steps right into the door frame. That's exactly what Kool-Aid wanted. It's going to be the second frag as well, as Nyx goes, or rather loading goes down inside of games. This is basically all she wrote. Benchy has to rotate back to site. So does Thomas, but you can see the extended roam here, so Tommy can't even get back to site either without risking Parabellum having a cutoff set up already for him.
I believe Parabellum has gotten every single opening kill this half as well, so that really just solidifies how dominant this early round play from them has been and how much it leads into such an easy closeout for them in the late round, as we've seen time and time again here in this second half. Things were a bit shaky, of course, that defensive side, which contrasts to what we saw back on Bank, but the attacks here on Chalet are second to none at the moment against Mirage here. They just don't know how to fend it off. And even now, with the 5v3 advantage, you can see Parabellum are not overextending to any degree here. They're not over-aggressing into the site just off the kill advantage. They're still taking their time. They're using this extra time bank they built up for themselves to really analyze this site setup and make sure this is going to be a clean shutdown despite the fact that they're already ahead by 2 players.
Yeah, for Mirage, this is a terrible spot to be in. Practically WrestleMania for them right now inside of the site, just trying to fend off everything. And for Parabellum, it's a simple Sunday walk right now. This is a breeze. They're taking control, making sure to get the cams down, clearing out all of the utility that Mirage have to try and fight back in that defensive standpoint. But do they know about Thomas? That's the biggest deal right now. Thomas could change up a lot of this, especially if he gets some pretty impactful frags, but the bullets are going to miss, and he's not able to tag him up either. They know the positioning now, but Parabellum still desperately need a plan attempt.
Kool-Aid going to start to inch himself closer to the point where he'll be able to work himself into sight as well. It'll be a bit of a dodgy push for him, and keep in mind, he's controlling the case too, so he's the worst player to potentially lead this charge, should that be the case. Benji starting to work his way in from the back end, nearly able to line up the angle against one of the players here from Mirage. Spirits also tries to do the same thing, but it's going to be Benji that strikes first here as the side attempt breaks out, but Spirits, as we've seen the consistency in the late round from him earlier on in this half, he's going to look to shut it down. Dream can't control the TCSG here as he's going to lose. No! Benji actually shutting it all down. Penguin comes in for the trade. He's going to look to end it all himself. He's just going to run away. He's got Case down on the ground. Drone goes right past Dream to confirm he is following him. A super smart. No! But it doesn't matter. The confirmation didn't come out, it seems. Dream walks right past the drone, shuts him down, and Mirage sustained for at least one more here as they're going to send it up 6-4.
I cannot believe my eyes in what we just watched with that. Dream just runs after him up main stairs, and not only that, guys, that is a 3 armor operator. That guy is so loud. It's like a semi-truck sitting outside of your house. It's insane. Oh my, Parabellum not able to get away with it in 7-3 fashion. Mirage able to get one more round here and stay alive. But the big issue now, they need 2 more to push this to overtime.
If I had to guess the error there, I think when someone got on the drone, it went right past him just as they got on the camera. So he got directly past the drone's POV, and that maybe was the all clear, like, no, he's not following you. You're good, you're good. And then they just didn't even notice that he was already past the drone. That's my guess.
Oh, man.
Like I said, complete guess, complete shot in the wind, but maybe get an interview with the players or someone could send a tweet at them to see if that's in fact the case.
I'm sure that we will see a tweet about that round later on
it's
tonight.
a little weird how those final couple seconds went, but either way, pays out in the favor of Mirage. A great clutch coming in from that last player alive, and it saves their tournament lives, like I said, for at least one more round. But still, the overall theme here is still one of Parabellum's control. And while, yes, the basement hold works out for Mirage, that's one of the most closed off sites when it comes to players being able to maintain those positions without being challenged. You can't really rely on that luxury anymore, as they're obviously going to be forced to move off of it with a win being claimed there.
Yeah, the biggest thing there is that Parabellum was still able to get away with, so much inside of that, initial part of the round. All of the control, all of the frags necessary, and even the plant going down as well. It was really Mirage able to get back to the actual site and fend off quite a few of these operators that gave Dream that opportunity to actually clutch up instead.
Benji specifically was a huge proponent. I believe he got a triple on that round.
He had a double headshot on the two guys coming in through Garage, I believe, which was just ludicrous, let me tell you.
So Benji, some great stuff there to fend off the numbers and even it out when it had already gone down to a 3v5 before Parabellum even set foot into the site there. So great stuff from him. And of course the clutch that would eventually come out from Thomas there in the final seconds of the round. So let's see if Parabellum can quickly look for a correction or if things are going to go. Oh my goodness! Almost an angle lined up against loading, but he's just barely going to be able to dash past the doorway there with half of his HP remaining. He'll tuck himself away in a corner. Sigh a few deep breaths here as he's going to be able to save his own life with that and hopefully build some courage to peek out again a bit later on.
Yeah, legitimate nightmare fuel for any Siege player.
Oh, it's Thomas, though, that does it back to them as he's going to make the aggressive move, finally getting revenge for that first round on this half as well, as he takes out Penguin first this time. Once again, man, the Osa just never seeing its play here. It's going to get decked immediately at the beginning of the round.
Yeah, poor Penguin. I mean, he was able to get quite a bit done when he was sitting on the balcony the last time. I really like what he did with the windows there, or rather the shields there, to make sure that nothing crazy would be happening. Thomas trying to contest all of these different points. They realize that they just have to take off the gloves and just start fighting. They need to fight for their opportunity for SI in the moment, and they're coming back in convincing fashion. Penguin and Kool-Aid now down for the count, and not only that, Mirage with their first blood of this side.
Absolutely the case. So some great stuff from Mirage, really starting to kind of take full control of this defensive half, which is something they needed to do, given how it was Parabellum doing it at every single avenue up until this point here. Eska going to try to work his way in, but now he's facing off against a double angle here, loading as well, coming back into the fray with half HP, able to win out the next fight against Spirits. Suddenly, it's Parabellum in a situation that Mirage have been facing many, many times this half. A 2v5 with minimal positioning to try and turn this around, and still over a minute to go. A good start here for Melted. He's able to find loading, but that's only the first step of a 5-step process here, and they've got a long way to go with only a minute left to do it.
You also helping me recover my taxes or recover my credit score or something like that? Sorry about that. But either way, Frag Grenade going to go down through and into the next floor, clearing out a little bit of utility there, or just looking for somebody being home. But obviously, not a person in sight. Mirage cooling off after the initial entries here for this round, able to get some big kills, especially for Thomas's sake. Currently 9-9, but been pretty impactful with those 9 frags he has been able to find. 34 seconds now for Parabellum, rather Eska and Melted actually, to be able to get downstairs. And Eska the only one with a drone right now as well, but that's more than likely dedicated to the flank just due to the amount of bodies that Mirage had to throw at this situation.
So Melted going to put himself in incredibly low HP. And unfortunately, time is going to start to become an issue, but that's going to be not really going to stop Melted, I should say here. There's, of course, still Dream gets into the fight here. Him and Thomas going to work together to finally shut down this two-man team, staying alive for Parabellum until those final few seconds. But like I said, nowhere near enough power by the time they got put into the 2v5 to negotiate any type of clutch here. We're going the full distance regulation at least. Sorry, could have been late here. As we enter round 12, to see if Mirage can make the comeback and trigger OT, or if Parabellum will get that 7-5 scoreline.
I mean, I honestly didn't see it getting this far once we saw how Parabellum was opening things up. But Mirage has been able to change up a lot of their play, specifically around what Thomas has been able to accomplish on the map in these last 2 rounds. He's been a thorn in the side of this offense, and they have not been able to dislodge him time and time again. So we'll see what they want to do to try and answer this time around. Mirage will be headed to Bar Gaming as Dream will 6-pick away from the Frost and play Kaid. Yes, Dream, we know you're there. We've got the Kaid locked in. You don't got to flash it at us anymore, as we'll be jumping into possibly our last round here on Chalet.
Let's see, once again, Parabellum So with all of that momentum built up from the first 3 rounds of this half, but it seems to have fallen by the wayside due to this comeback from Mirage. And Mirage, bringing some of their own aggression out onto the table here, has had absolutely beautiful results at the last round as anything to judge it off of, but need to negotiate at least one more for themselves here. And here's the problem. They're going back to this extended library setup where we have just seen Parabellum tear this to shreds time and time again already inside of this half. They need to try and find a way to keep this setup alive, specifically the player extended out from that reinforced wall. wall just on the balcony. They have to keep that player alive, as if not, that's immediate access to far too much of this map for Parabellum right off the bat.
Yeah, the library has to be one of the most hotly contested spaces when it comes to Chalet, just because of the entry point that we see time and time again inside of this space. Nyx is going to be looking for a kill from Campfire pretty early here. This is a classic for those that have been playing Siege for a long time, but definitely still works on this map as well in its current iteration. For Parabellum, they want to be starting things off on this southwest side, but obviously we saw they have a few bodies over on the other end as well, but that's more than likely just counter angles to try and assist them in this push. But honestly, when it comes to Parabellum, we could be seeing a whole myriad of different things. They are definitely taking this one just a touch slower here, just to make sure that Mirage can't get any of these highly influential early picks, but mostly focused right now on this library balcony like we've seen in previous rounds.
First minute gone, and Parabellum yet to strike that opening kill that has been so pivotal to their dominant control in the first 3 rounds of this half here. Are going to see the X-Kairos do a little bit of work, or at least attempt that work. I'm not sure if it was too successful, though, judging off of the lack of any impact on Benji's wall. Here comes another attempt, though. They're going to try to take that out, but there is another player here causing problems and stopping that from going down. It's going to be Dream assisting from below, but Eska just says, to heck with it. I'm just going to chuck a nade into this position instead, and that works out perfectly. Don't even need to impact the wall, as Benji's going to go down outright. A second kill quickly going to be found. It's all too familiar to the folks at home there. The Mirage fans have to be shaking in their boots at this point as we go down to another 5v3 with still half the round remaining. Dream with a good counter angle, though, to punish the presence from Parabellum if they push directly inside. But it's going to be Thomas instead to strike first here as he puts down Spirits.
My heart cannot take this right now, Blue. Parabellum. Out of a 4 versus 3 in the moment, Mirage can do a lot here, and this fight's going to mean quite a bit to Loading. He'll win it out as well. A 3 versus 3 with 1 minute and 10 remaining. So much time here for either team to answer the call. We'll have to see what's going to go down. The case currently on Kool-Aid is he's sitting at 12, 6, and 3. He's done it yet again inside of this map, just like we saw him get it done on Bank. They have the top floor control here inside of Library, but you can see Mirage is adjusted just in case his plant attempt starts to go down here inside of Games. Melted needs to have an answer for this positioning as of right now. I don't really know what the drone info's looking like inside of this space. Did just hear a ping, and Kool-Aid's going to win out against Dream. The plant starts to go down, but Loading doesn't have any utility to try and assist. There's no support at all. The cross finally shuts it down. Melted will lose his life as well, and somehow, some way, it's worked its way into a 1 versus 1.
Eska watching an angle that's not supporting his teammate, but it doesn't even matter. Just drops it right down and into a headshot as he's going to shut it all down and quickly make up for that lack of support on his teammate. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, Parabellum will eliminate Mirage from the qualifier and move themselves on into the lower bracket final tomorrow morning.
I mean, what a best of 3. We only got to see 2 maps, but legitimately, Mirage gave Parabellum such